If the name of the Savior is precious to you, if the snare has been constant and never untrue, if the light of His presence has brightened your way, oh, will you not tell of your gladness today? Oh, will you not tell it, oh, tell it today? Will you not tell it, oh, tell it today? If the light of His presence has brightened your way, oh, will you not tell it today? If your faith in the Savior has brought its reward, if the strength you have found in the strength of your Lord, if the hope of a rest in His palace is sweet, oh, will you not brother restore you redeem? Oh, will you not tell it, oh, tell it today? Will you not tell it, oh, tell it today? If the light of His presence has brightened your way, oh, will you not tell it today? If the souls all around you are living in sin, if the Master has told you to give them come in, if the sweet invitation may never have heard, oh, will you not tell them that you bring word? Oh, will you not tell it today? Will you not tell it, oh, tell it today? If the light of His presence has brightened your way, oh, will you not tell it today? Good morning.
Morning.
A couple of things I'm going to make mention of is ladies, I'll promise there won't be anything that was found laying on the road at Surge next Friday. So we didn't make a joke. We want to think about some things this morning. We want to look at what it means to love our neighbor. I want us to think about that. At the point of the right time, and I don't know who this has to do with, but they already got part of this lesson. And I don't know how the providence of God always works, but it's always great when you got a good example. In Matthew and in Luke also, there's context in Mark where Jesus is asked this question. Some say that it was the same time, some say it was different times, different people. I'm not sure. But I will tell you this, his answer was the same. It tells us that Jesus said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Now, when we think about this point, and I want us to understand this, because he's telling us we need to love our neighbor. And sometimes we say, okay, I love my neighbor. What does that mean? You know, in John chapter 15, and what a friend of mine refers to in the room of gloom and doom, up in the upper room before he died, Jesus makes this statement in verse 12. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this to lay down one's life for his friends. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. Now, there's a point there that we sing a song, I'll be a friend of Jesus, or what a friend we have in Jesus, but do we equate that with loving our neighbor and how we're to love our neighbor? And so I want us to think about some points here about loving our neighbor. Now, in one of the contexts in Luke, when Jesus is asked this question, a man tries to justify himself by saying, well, who's my neighbor? And you know, sometimes we do that too. Well, who's my neighbor? See, sometimes we love family. We love our children. We love our brothers and our sisters. But what about our neighbors? He tells us that Jesus answered, said, a certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked and passed by on the other side. Now, what were they doing? Well, they were afraid he might be dead. They didn't want to become unclean. Probably the priest was headed to serve in the temple. A Levite do the same thing. But you know what? It don't justify anything. It's still not right. It's still a violation of the law of the prophets. They're not showing him love. But a certain Samaritan, I want you to understand this point. Jesus brought up that which the Jewish Pharisees saw despicable, and showed them he was a better Jew than they were. But a certain Samaritan. Now, many people want to say, well, this is just a parallel. When Jesus said it was a certain Samaritan, he means this was a certain Samaritan who lived and did this thing. As he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. So he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and set him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. On the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come again, I will repay you. Always think about something, folks. How many people say they love? How many people put their money where their mouth is? See, this man did just that. Not only did he pay him for the time he was there, he said, whatever else it cost, you take care of it. And obviously, he knew the innkeeper, and the innkeeper knew, when I come back, I'll pay the rest of it if there's more. And he probably actually paid more than just the day's lodging that he had. Or whatever the other time that he needed. He took it out of his own pocket. Jesus asked the question, so which of these do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves? Was it the priest or the Levite or the Samaritan? And what did he say? And he said, he who showed mercy on him. Then Jesus said to him, go and do likewise. Aren't that what we're supposed to do? Go and do likewise. Have mercy on people where we can. Do we think about those things when we see people having trouble? When we see people going through issues that we know they can use a helping hand? I know in this world of seeing people constantly holding up signs and doing things on corners, and oftentimes, one person told me, look at their shoes, we get a little skeptical. But you know, if we looked at each one a little differently, we might be finding one that really needs the help and give the help. If we took one individually, I like it that the guy that told me said, look at their shoes. He says, you'll tell by their shoes whether they're truly in need. And I've always kind of followed that since then. And I see somebody wearing better Nikes than I am. No, I'm not necessarily there. But when I see a man banging the side of his truck and crying, and I know he is at his last end, I'm going to help. And that's what God expects us to do. Speaking of shoes, put ourselves in their shoes. That's really what the golden rule is saying. Whatever you would have men do to you, do to them also. What's he saying? Put ourselves in their shoes. If I was in their shoes and somebody offered to help me, what would I do? Or what if I wasn't even asking? What would I do? And really understand that some people just don't know how to ask. And so maybe we ought to step up. You think this man laying on the side of the road between Jericho and Jerusalem could ask for help? He was unable to ask. And the Samaritan didn't wait for him to ask. The Samaritan realized something, even if he was dead, he needed help. Somebody needed to do something. And you notice what Jesus says about this? This is the law and the prophets. Yep, it always struck me. Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your mind, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. And then he says, and the second commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself. And on these two hinge all the law and the prophets. And I thought, well, if number one, if you can do number one, why is there number two? Well, here's the truth. Until you get number two right, you can't get number one right. And so when he says, what's the summation of the law? He says to love your neighbor, to treat him as you want to be treated. And you know that goes without partiality. I want you to think about this and what James said. I want you to read it behind me, and I want you to think about what I've got to say. I'm not going to take time to read it. But I want you to understand this point that he makes. If we show partiality, we commit sin. Let me tell you something. The Samaritan wasn't a racist. But the Jews that Jesus was speaking to were. And he's telling them there can be no racism in loving your neighbor. There can't be a class standard. It's to be without partiality. The man that asked the question, who is my neighbor, what did Jesus tell him? Everyone you come in contact with is your neighbor. And he expects us to love them. So many times we tell people we'll pray for them. But you know, loving our neighbor, it's praying for them. But it's also so much more. James 5:16 says, confess your trespasses to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed. You know, praying for each other, that's good for us. If you know somebody's in need and all you do is pray for them, what good have you really done? See, in chapter 2, verse 14, 17, James says, what does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? That's a big question for today. A lot of people say they believe in Jesus, but they don't do anything to show it. They're not willing to obey his commands. Faith is more than just believing, it's acting. Notice what he goes on to say. If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, depart in peace, be warm and filled, but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? That's right. If you tell somebody who's in need of things, who needs that you're able to help, well, I'll pray for you, and you know they're truly in need, what have you really done? What have we really done? We just pass over. And what does James go on to say? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. If we're going to pray for God to help somebody, but we're not going to pick up the shovel to help, or take them food that they need that we have extra of, or we're really just asking, well, what do you want me to do? What are we trying to do? Put the burden back on them? And the truth of the matter is, if we're going to pray for them, we're going to pray for God to help them. Aren't we part of the answer to that prayer? See, it's doing whatever we can. There's an interesting text in Matthew chapter 25. There's 3 examples there. Jesus has first talked about the destruction of Jerusalem. He's talked about, I'm sorry, if you have questions, please ask those afterwards. Okay? I have a lesson prepared for preaching. Okay? And when we get done, I'll be glad to answer any questions. Okay? Whatever we can. In that context of that chapter 25, after Jesus is talking about the destruction of the world and the end of time, and his coming again, he says that he'll come and gather the sheep and the goats and separates them. And I want you to understand that point there when he's talking about in those 3 contexts, those 3 parables he uses. 2 parables and 1 factual statement. He's talking about the Lord's church. And he makes this statement at the end, after separating. And the king will come to those on his right hand, come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. See, we're quick to do this for people we know, but did you catch that point? I was a stranger. I was a stranger. And you did for me. How much does that mean to people? We're to bear one another's burdens. Well, who's one another? Just the church. Galatians chapter 6, verse 10 says, do good unto all men, especially those of the household of faith. Yes, I should bear for us to do something good for those out inside, but also be willing to help those outside, and I'll get to mine in a minute. But here's the point. People are not going to care what we know until they know that we care. I want you to think about Jesus. When he first came on the scene, before he started preaching, he started healing people of diseases. Why? Was he not a prophet? Prophet and so much more. They needed to know he cared. And he tells us to let our light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Why? Because all these actions that we're talking about doing, loving our neighbor, is coming back to trying to give them what they really need. And that's salvation. I want you to interest point in Acts chapter 3 in the early church. In chapter 47, Peter and John are going into the temple. And there's a man lying there that's a paralytic, unable to walk. And he's begging for alms. And Peter, fixing his eyes on what John said, look at us. So he gave them attention, expecting to receive something from them. And then Peter said, silver and gold I do not have, but what I do have I give you. In the name of Jesus of Nazareth, rise up and walk. And he got up and walked. You know, here's the truth. People giving this man alms, what was that doing? Was that really fixing the problem? No. What the man really needed to be able to do was walk. Which he did. But was that the end of it? Was that all that Peter was trying to do, was give him the ability to walk? And going back to loving our neighbor and helping those who are in need. What good is food and clothing without salvation? Isn't that what they really need? See, it's just a means to the end. Our hope is that somehow we can get into the point of speaking with them and trying to lead them to God. And that's what Peter did here. Notice as the lame man who was healed held on to Peter and John. This man was very appreciative. He's like, y'all ain't going nowhere. If y'all can do this, there's more you can do. You can help. He's not asking them for food and clothing or begging for alms. In fact, previous verses tell us that he was praising God. And notice, all the people started gathering on Solomon's porch, and Peter, when he saw it, he responded to the people, men of Israel, why do you marvel at this? Or why look so intently as us to by our own power godless we made this man walk? In fact, he goes from there and starts and keeps preaching Jesus to them. And preaching about salvation. And so much that he upsets the council. The council drags him in. And Peter and John even tell it. But you know what it tells us? That after the council took them away from the things that they had preached in the temple, about 5,000 souls were saved. So that's a door of opportunity. And Peter took it. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. See, God created his church to carry on the purpose of the gospel. And that's part of it. Loving our neighbor is given what they need. Notice in Ephesians 2:8-10 it says, for grace you have been saved through faith and not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them. Sometimes we get an opportunity to do something good for somebody, and our hope is that we'll be able to do more. Sometimes we don't get that opportunity. Sometimes we do. Sometimes people really appreciate what we've done for them. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it makes an impression on them and they want to know more. And sometimes it don't. But Paul says, do not grow weary in well-doing, knowing that in time you shall receive if you don't lose hope. I would submit to you, for every 50 to 100 people we help, we not only get to teach one the gospel, but isn't the one worth it? Doesn't it make up for all the no's and slam doors and everything else that happens? Don't we tend to file those back over there and say, okay, I tried, and Lord, hopefully one day they'll find another and they'll answer. But this one has made all that worthwhile. So we keep on loving. And we keep on trying. And we just hope we can have that influence where people see our light shine. I often hear people say about works. Folks, I believe people that don't like the idea of doing works for God don't want to do works for God. It's kind of like coming to worship this morning. There are people that are out there going, do I have to go to church? I'm going to tell you the truth. You don't have to do anything. God gave you free will. You don't have to go to heaven. That's the undivided choices. But I'm going to tell you the truth, it's not about having to go to church. It's about wanting to go to church. It's about wanting to be with the brethren. It's about wanting to praise your God. It's about wanting to thank your God. It's about wanting to know how God wants to live. Wants you to live and be pleasing to Him. Amen. And it's out of gratitude. Or it may be out of what you hope to futurely have and realizing gratitude. We're either grateful for what the Lord has done for us or not. We're either grateful for what the Lord has done to us to the point that we want to receive what He has promised in doing so, and know we'll be grateful for that. I'm going to tell you a little secret. You know what my motivation is? To be there that day and have Him call me His son. If I hear that, everything's been worthwhile. And I'll tell you today, whatever motivation you need to want to get to heaven, find it and hold on to it. And love your neighbor, because loving God is loving our neighbor. John writes, for he who does not love his brother whom he has seen, how can he love God whom he has not seen? And everyone is our brother. We're all created from God through Adam and through Noah. We all have the same blood close coursing through our veins. Are you Christian this morning? Are the things that you need help with that we can help you with? If you haven't been baptized into Christ, you have yet to put on Christ. The scriptures teach that. We want to help you become cleansed of your sins and be able to walk faithful to God. Whatever your situation this morning is, if there's a way we can help, would you please come as we stand and ask for me? Break my heart, dear Lord, tear the barriers down, show me in convicting tears the glories of your crown. My heart is hard, my soul's weak. The ways of evil got so deep. I need you, Lord, to come inside and gently break my heart. My sin is great, but I can see the glory set for me. Show me, Father, where to start, and gently break my heart. My heart is hard, my soul's so weak. The ways of evil got so deep. I need you, Lord, to come inside and gently break my heart. I need you, Lord, to come inside and gently break my heart.
Thank you for being here today. I believe it says we have 79. We can do this every